Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we talk about the three main data types in Python: integers, floats, and complex numbers. So first, let's go and discuss integers. Integers are basically numbers that are whole. Let's say 4 or 6 or 876 or numbers as such. These numbers could be very long numbers like 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion, or it can be very short numbers like one-digit numbers, 7, 4, or it can have positive sign, let's say 765, and the positive sign is not necessarily needed to be added there, but you can have it if you want to. Or we can have negative numbers which with a negative sign, let's say minus 987. The size and the sign of the number doesn't really matter as long as the number doesn't have a fractional part, a decimal point. If you want to store age of a person, integer is a very suitable data type to do so. For example, we write age is equal to 45. Now, the literal number 45 represents the age, or we can say count is equal to 10. And quantities like these that can be represented as a whole. The second important data type that we have in Python is floats. Floats are basically numbers that they have a fractional part or they have a decimal point included in the number. Let's say 76.9, that is a float. Let's say 100.8, that is also a floating point. Floating points can be very long numbers. Let's say 100 or 1 million. I guess this is 1 million or 100,000 point 0.0008. This is also a floating point. Again, floating points can have a positive sign, let's say plus 9.8, or they can have a negative sign, minus 0.008. This is again a float number. If you want to store the price of an item from the supermarket in your program, then I think float would be a very ideal data type to do so. We can write price is equal to $3.50. Now let's discuss about complex numbers. Complex numbers don't really represent anything real in our world, but they are being used for some very specific calculations used by mathematicians. And the complex numbers, they have two parts. One is the real part, let's say 8, and they have this imaginary part, let's say 8 plus 9j. So the 9j is the imaginary part and the 8 is the real part. Complex numbers are a very specific topic that we are going to discuss in details later on during this course.